They all just go to plan. They're framed and fixed and rigged, and you know they're all just spam. So buckle down, plug right in, and cross its way under your skin. Just got out from the things they spy, and it will make you shout. Give me that good news.
Good morning.
And the good news is, gentlemen, we're here. It's The Grounds with Giles and Jones and special guest once again, Mr. Mike. There you go. It's brought to you this morning by Reese's Barkery and Pautique, 1313 North Riverside Drive, McHenry, Illinois, 815-363-7297. Reese's loves you, loves your pets, and loves 216thenet.com. Real life internet radio. Gentlemen, good morning.
Well, good morning. And of course, this is the most unique show on 216 The Net. Just follow the link that's being posted right there in the comments on social media. Put that in your URL. And then,
your URL.
Yeah,
Okay.
your
yeah,
URL.
Like your URL. Like, get your card URL changed.
Hey, Carl. Your turlet. And come on in, be part. Have a cup of coffee with us. Looks like we got some tea, some coffee, some tea over here, and just be part of the show. And could you spare any change?
Could you spare? Sorry, we're all out.
Where there's a shortage on common sense, right?
Yeah.
And of course, the grounds is we talk about everything. So Mike McKay, personal trainer to the stars here at 216 The Net.
That makes
Welcome
us
aboard,
stars then if he's a personal trainer
That's
to the
right.
stars, right?
That's right.
Hey,
That's right.
that's good. What are you starring in?
Yeah, my own drama.
The Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
So if everyone can, if you're watching today, you can see
We got the
Kent's got his good
got the
old
good
derby
fedora.
on.
Yeah, the old
Fedora.
should have news up there or whatever.
Oh yeah, your little card.
Yeah, remember when
Yeah,
they did
yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Press, they say.
Yeah, press.
Yeah.
Pass. When the Three Stooges would be like, press, pass.
That's right. That's right. So you shot me a text last night. You're a little frustrated with lack of common sense out there amongst our listeners. Lisa, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I'm not so sure that I'm frustrated with it. I'm just wondering if there, is common sense really any common anymore? I mean, it just seems like people are doing things that just these days that makes no sense. And then you ask them why they did it. They're like, well, and they don't really have an answer.
All right. So in the green room, Pete shared a good example.
Yeah.
Our producer, Uncle Pete, right?
Uncle Pete.
Shared a good example.
Yeah, the sky is falling and people jumping to, without going into any details whatsoever, people jumping to conclusions and going and doing things that needed absolutely in no way, shape, or form to be done because they were not impacted in any way, shape, or form by the thing that occurred. It occurred miles upon miles away, yet they all
Maybe
said
hundreds or thousands of miles away, right?
So So it was. What the hell are you doing?
So
why?
Right. Their comments and their actions didn't really weren't really merited because they weren't using their common sense. They weren't thinking things through, right?
Not at all.
And that's real. And that's
George,
kind of what I'm
They
getting
chicken littled the whole thing. So George, hey George,
That's
there's
it,
George.
Shayna. Always good to see you, sister. Why did what is Lisa saying? Why did you mention lack of common sense then immediately me?
Well, you said hello, and then they said hello. So you're the one who said hello after lack of
Lisa.
common
We
sense.
know.
So
Lisa has more common sense than I think most people do.
she changes perception.
She changes your perceptions,
that's
right?
it.
And that's a beautiful thing. Which
So-
is on what days is Lisa's changing?
Sunday mornings
Sunday
at
mornings.
9 a.m. Right here, 216 today.
Where it's
All right,
now much more professionally produced by Mr.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't go there. So, what is your definition of common sense? Let's help the audience out there
Don't
understand.
put that on me.
Mike, what are you going with?
It's the sense that's commonly shared among people. So I think common sense, you think of it, it's going to be like this high level of thinking. But if everything is common among people and it's dropped, that's kind of where it's at. It's like the common level of thinking is a lot lower. Maybe
The duh moments, like
but it's
duh.
still there.
Yeah.
It's still common sense.
What's Google call common sense?
I didn't.
Why don't you Google that up? Just
Let's
honestly
just
see what it is.
see.
But for me, it's just something that's common sense. It's obvious, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that you shouldn't have to really think about. Like common sense, don't stick your finger in a fire because it's going to get burned. That you would is common sense if you were taught, granted, as a kid, right? I mean, I didn't. My parents showed me the hard way that, fire hurts because I kept
let him
playing
pull
with
that
it.
TV on top of his head. He won't do that a second time.
Right. But I mean, certain simple things that it's like, well, I know that's going to happen, but they still end up doing it. Or like Pete was kind of alluding to. What's that?
Who brought the new guy in? Mike hit it. I'm just looking at it. It just says.
Did he really? Oh my God!
It's hard to precisely define common sense, but here goes. Common sense is the action that is deemed by the majority of people to be most acceptable and or most likely to result in the best outcome.
You're welcome.
Bang! Drop
Mike's hired. Mike's hired.
That's it.
Mike's hired.
Welcome into the grounds with Mike and Giles.
Wait, we got to keep you two, Kenneth. The three of us, we can make that work.
Yeah, your
The
dad
trio.
did so, your dad's on it too. Sound practical judgment that's usually developed through life experience.
Yeah.
Maybe people just aren't having good life experiences anymore, or typical life experiences.
So we see a lot of experience in there. Common sense is based within experience. So since the times have changed to blame, there is lack of self-reflection to see what makes sense. In that example, most now would blame the fire. Shared cultural expectation.
I like that. Most now, I didn't do it. The fire burned
reinforced by cause and effect.
And that's what I mean. They're not looking really. I mean, at just the basics, the simple things. I mean, analyzing.
Give me an example.
I'm not going to do this. Well, for instance, touching the stove when it's hot. It's going to burn. It's hot.
Do you, or am I? Well, I'm not that much older than you guys.
Oh, you are.
Here on 216 tonight, I know most of you don't see us, but if you could really see a picture, soon we will have a billboard with all of us so you can see how good
it's not Uncle Kent or Uncle Scott. We'll just
it should be Grandpa Pete then.
You're Grandpa.
Not yet.
You're the Grandpa.
I'm the Grandpa, right?
You are, yeah. That's right. So I'm just.
And I'm teaching my granddaughter common sense.
We'll just call you Pawpaw.
Well,
Pop,
remember when we all were just aghast back in I think this was the late 80s, when that lady spilled her hot coffee on herself from McDonald's.
Yeah, from McDonald's.
And then sued them because the coffee she ordered, hot coffee, was hot.
I absolutely love that example, Pete, because common sense is when you order hot coffee, it should come hot, right? And it's going to burn if you spill it on you.
Mm-hmm.
But yet it's not her fault because McDonald's gave her a product that was the way it was supposed to be.
Wrong. Look at that.
I know it was hot. I know it was hotter than what they normally put.
No, the lawsuit was that it was in a cup that the lid wasn't properly put on. It's not that the coffee was hot. The coffee burned her because it was hot.
Then I completely digress, and I'm going to read
vessel.
I'm going to digress, and I'm going to leave the
show.
show.
The case was won on the vessel.
I'm going to leave the show, guys, because
the inefficacy of the vessel.
Well, then
you guys,
that is not common sense.
You guys and your spin. You're such a liberal
us in the
media,
spin. You're the spinner over here, Dr. Dre.
But still,
gosh,
you order hot coffee.
Wow, that woke me. I didn't even know
Check
that.
the freaking lid.
No.
When have you ever not gotten hot coffee and the first thing you do is check the freaking lid?
Hey, I got handed a fake gun on a set and I killed somebody. I didn't check it.
Oh my God.
Well, there you go.
While the gun was a prop, it obviously was not fake.
Oh well, yeah.
So that I seriously I did not know. I thought it was 100%. And like I said, so one of the things with me is I live my life. I do what's right. I try to help out as much as possible.
100%.
I try to really not pay attention to the mainstream media at all. All right, because there's just so much negativity and so much out there that just doesn't need to be ingested in a person's life, and we wonder why our world is the way it is, because they're just people don't have any other thing to do except think shit sucks and that the world
Gary,
is
good morning,
horrible.
brother. Look who just jumped.
Hey, what's up? Good morning, good evening, Singapore.
Gonna have to give us
which is now actually 14 hours ahead of us.
That's right.
Oh, you know what? All right, perfect. Common
You're gonna have
sense.
to give us a little
more.
For Gary.
A little more juice.
What's with this whole time change thing? That makes no sense.
You guys are the ones with the time change. You explain to me.
That just messes everybody up.
Yeah. What was that, Gary?
No, you are the guys with the time change. You explain to me what is it all about.
Do you guys have the time change in Singapore?
I think not us, no.
Because you guys want to make sure your body keeps remembering the right routine every day.
the Indians, the Native Americans, I'll call them Indians, right? The Indians, they once said the white man is the only person who needs a longer blanket, so they cut off the top 3 inches and sew it to the bottom.
That's
There's
a good one.
There's a little lack of common sense.
Yeah,
there's no DST over on this side of the pond. The whole of Asia doesn't have DST.
So Shane, we're going to run back up there. Does the majority decide what is common, like mandates? ? And there was more to the story with the coffee, correct? Right. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that. Is it common sense? Do you lack common sense if you choose not to get the vaccine?
Say that one more time.
Do you lack common sense if you choose not to get the vaccine?
A shot? No. I think actually if you obviously getting it or not getting it is your choice, which it always should be, and the government obviously
right, but
is trying to take that away.
But if we're saying the common
sense, right?
There's probably more people. I have no idea what the numbers are, but there's millions of people, billions of people, perhaps around the world that
7 point something bill
that are vaccinated, right, or have got.
Well, there's about 4.3 million here out of 5.6 which are vaccinated.
So that would be the majority then, right?
We have about 87% fully vaccinated.
It's fair to say.
So not that I really wanted to go down this road on common sense with as far as the shot, but the amount of people that I actually talk to and discuss with this why they're getting it, they're not using their common sense. They're using it's almost like a peer pressure reasoning for getting it, or just wanting to fit in. Why'd you get it? I mean, I couldn't tell you how many people say I got it. Well, because eventually they're going to make me get it, or because everyone else is getting it, and then I want to be safe. And then it's like, well, but you're not using your common sense, because if you use your common sense, you understand that 1, the shot does not stop you from spreading it. 2, does not stop you from getting it. Just like a mask does not stop you from spreading it or getting it. Right.
To which we say, in Scott's opinion.
Yes,
before any of that, we're not doctors, nor are we pro vaccine or anti. We're just
these are just my thoughts.
We're discussing our opinions here.
Right. And that's well, but that's
don't want to get yanked off everything.
That's how, what's funny here. Listen to this one. So that comment that I made last week when I was out on assignment, and I said, "Do you?" I got blocked. I got on Facebook. I got in trouble for saying "Do you?"
Yeah,
on Facebook.
I can't do that.
Oh, sorry, the Book of Face.
The Book of Face.
The
metaverse.
I don't understand that, but that's not using common sense. I mean, why would that?
So
the word "you" and "do" becomes an attack.
That's correct. It's a trigger.
You, that simple 2-word phrase, or just the one word "you," is an attack.
So
it's a direct confrontation.
So George says common sense decisions should also facilitate the greater good. Do you agree with that?
I do, because I think that a lot of what gets confused as like a change in common sense. It's not so much a change in common sense; it's the change in motives and values that underlie a lot of this stuff. So when you're talking about people like with what they're if they're using common sense or not. I think most of the time, it's just the motive, underneath what is going on has actually changed, and you don't see that on the outside. When you're having a conversation, you're like, man, this person is, whatever. We're arguing about something. It's so dumb, isn't it obvious? Well, it is obvious, and most of the time, I don't even think they're so dumb as to not see it. But that motive that's driving them to go a different way is just not being discussed on the outside of the surface, and that greater good, what we see as the greater good, is not what other people are seeing as the greater good. And that's not what is actually being discussed.
Here's one thing as I've read about before. It says common sense isn't actually common in either sense. It is different from person to person.
Correct.
It may not,
it's relative.
Right. It's relative. Right. It may not be employed even when many editors could agree on what it is in a particular situation. It's sometimes said common sense is very rare.
Yeah.
And I agree it's very rare. I think other than using common sense, like you're kind of coming up with the shot, it's people jumping on the bandwagon. They kind of fear of missing out, right? The FOMO. Well, wait, they did it. I should do it. Or, and then a lot of the comments I get from people, why'd you do it? Because everyone else is doing it. That's not common sense. right? That's wanting to be a sheep or jump on the bandwagon.
So I've got 3 older brothers. All 3 of my older brothers put their hand on the hot burner and go, ah, shit, that's hot. And I don't. They lacked common sense, and I have common sense then.
You learned from them doing it, right?
Keep going.
And you decided that I saw them do it. I'm not going to do that because I saw the outcome, right? So you used common sense not to touch the oven.
So
they had to figure it out for themselves.
They wanted empirical proof.
Right, which is some people have to learn by themselves.
I know a lot of people who have decided to take the 4.3 million out of 5 point whatever million over in Singapore.
5.6 million.
There's a lot of people that I know who have no issues, no anything, right? And so you would say then that I have common sense because I watched all these people get the shot and nothing happened. So I said, yeah, I can do that. So now I have common sense.
Right. And I think this is kind of like what you were saying, Scott, where it's like, how do you have a better society for some of these people? Taking the vaccine is about, I'm going to follow the rules. And if I follow the rules, then we're going to have a better society. It's not really about the vaccine or not. It's about this is a rule and now we're all going to follow it. And this makes us, better
following the rules to make a better society really doesn't necessarily play in my mind.
No.
Following the rules to fit in and help push us closer and closer and closer towards what the government views as their ideal society or their social society, right? Which we're being pushed farther and farther and closer to every day with the way that things are being run. I mean, if you look back to, and like I said, I didn't really want to get on this, but look back when they originally said what they're going to do, just do this mandate and we don't worry about this. Now they're trying to make it law. You have to have it done or you can't do anything or go anywhere or see anybody. Is that really common?
Actually, this week in the courts, it was deemed unconstitutional here in the United States.
But they're still fighting
it to have a mandate. Make that mandate.
But to make the mandate, but these companies are actually ones that are putting it in their
Gary, and here's where in America, this is where common sense has fallen off. No one in America can have a conversation without bringing up a political party, a political person, or the government anymore.
I understand your point. Yes,
fell off.
I watch C-SPAN. Yes.
Right? No one anywhere in throughout my day can have a conversation just about, oh my gosh, what did I was out building a picnic table, for the new place and and the response is always, well, did you get that passed through your HOA?
It's not, hey, dude, that's awesome.
You made it yourself. You're a Trump lover.
Right.
This is.
So let me back that one up real quick. So now, just because you know how to use tools, you love Trump.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Trump was a tool, wasn't he? Isn't that what people say?
You can't have.
I don't know.
You can't go 30 minutes without hearing something about political, government, whatever. Right. And that's an issue.
So what is that? So with that being said, how does that make you feel? Is that knowing that people are actually using common sense
to people?
Right. But so is that
I get on my own radio station and go, y'all are
y'all are crazy.
Important listeners out there, and I think each and one of you are special, and I love you all.
Quit kissing ass. And he does not. He's him, and that's the reason the station is awesome. But so doesn't that irritates you, right? Because they're not using their common. Look, just have a conversation with this person, right? Hey, look, you're building a picnic table. That's awesome. What made you decide to do that?
So here's
I need one.
Here's the
here's common sense because I need to eat.
Here's the true sense of the word is we used to say, man, that dude is book smart, but got no common sense, right?
Doesn't have the sense to come in out of the rain.
Right.
Maybe he likes getting wet.
And the issue is now we don't have too many book smarters either. Right? There's a lot of different levels of intelligence. Go ahead, Gary.
Depends on what you consider book smarter, though, too. Right?
I mean, I think that's also how a few countries have viewed Singapore. I mean, they view us as book smart because we are always consistently internationally number one or number two in terms of maths, in terms of science, in terms of a lot of factors. In terms of a lot of people perceive us as book smart, but not really street smart. I think the other word is street smart. I guess it all depends on the environment that we grow up in, because we are a pretty close environment here. So everything's very safe, right? 3 o'clock in the morning, you can go jogging and nobody's going to stab you or even rob you. So it's I guess we have more time to turn our attention to other things that are not necessarily street smart skills. Perhaps in the US context, we have time to pursue our own activities, our own hobbies, our own academic pursuits and things. So hence, we are perceived as book smart, but not street smart. But then, if we were not street smart, we probably won't be able to survive as a young country of 56 years independence. So we'll probably get swallowed up by other countries if we are not street smart. So I guess the proof is in the pie, but we'll see how far we can go. After all, we're still less than 100 years old. We're only 56. We are a very young nation.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you guys are now you're now the FNG, taking that off of the United States, because we're still a very young country. We're barely in the toddler stage. We're not even 300 yet. So.
Here's just another definition of common sense. It's a noun, right? Good sense and sound judgment in practical matters. Practical matters, right? Sound judgment.
As long as you agree.
What do you consider? Well, no, right. So, what do you consider sound judgment?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I can have great common sense, and you can say that boy ain't got no common sense because it's my sound judgment didn't agree with your sound judgment or the way that you would react, and you go, that guy's an idiot. He's got no common sense. So, common sense is a personal thing.
Well, it is judgment in practical matters, right? Something that we all kind of have information on. Something that we all understand. For instance, your brother's touching the stove.
Yeah.
Your common sense said, wait, they touched it. They hurt themselves. Common sense would tell me, don't do that, dummy, because I'm going to hurt myself. Learn from their mistakes.
Correct.
And that right there is learning from other people's, well, not even mistakes, learning from other people's experiences,
yeah,
right?
That's what Shayna says right there.
Shayna said, oh, shit, I didn't read her
Maybe
yet,
common sense is the lack of learning from personal experience or experience of those you trust.
Well, if that's if what Scott is
a little bit, Pete.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, I mean,
there you go, Gary. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Well, then picking up on what Scott is saying, so if let's say refers to Ken's situation where the brothers touched the stove and Ken did not touch because he knows that if I touch, I'm going to get myself burned. So, and then Scott, you were saying that you look at all this thing and because Ken, you learn from your brother's experience that it is not a good idea to touch a stove. Hence, the common sense would be not to touch a stove, otherwise you get yourself burned. Well, then perhaps let me take this and expand it to a bigger context. For our case right now, we have 87% vaccination. We have a death rate of about 0.2%, which of course some will be vaccinated and they have some effects. Some will be mostly are unvaccinated. We have high case. Or we have cases of ICU or anything mainly from the unvaccinated side. Sure, they are vaccinated, but they're on the lower percentage than the unvaccinated. So if we look at this as a common sense situation that is working here, and we are still wearing masks, it's by law, we still have to wear masks, be it indoors or outdoors. Maintain a 1 meter social distancing. Cannot gather in groups of more than 2. So if we are able, if the situation here is that stable for us, then wouldn't that be taken as a common sense on how you can approach to living with the COVID-19 in other countries? Given our situation, if we look at Singapore's situation as a common sense situation, similar to what Ken's situation where he saw his brothers getting burned when he put hands. So maybe I should not put my hands on a vaccine. So on the stove. So maybe looking at the Singapore way, then shouldn't that be something that can be considered in its entirety about perhaps how to have a structure in society to ensure that it's safe or endemic with the COVID situation?
Right, exactly. However, because we're America, we'd say, how dare you say that we have to do that? That's my freedom, right? So, I mean, let's build on some different little levels, right? We've got the Constitution. that kind of rules what we do, and our hashtag and quote unquote freedoms. But yes, we could say that and go, man, it's working. Here's what America does. Yeah, but look at the 16 other countries that tried to do the same thing, and it's not. You know,
yeah. So you see, that's the. I think perhaps you're. I mean, you were right in saying that, because in the US context, at least, every discussion distills into elements of politics coming into it, and that actually conflicts and confuses the issue, makes it even murkier, makes it hard to see with clear lenses on, okay, let's put all the smoke and mirrors aside. What is the actual effect of that thing?
Right. So my other thing that I think about is, like, if you have common sense, or you're a person that you say you're a common sense person, right? A common sense person is a person that's capable of managing everyday problems without making them big, huge issues and making them more complex than they are. Dealing with something simple, stupid. This is what I need to do. Common sense. I need to put gas or my car's not going to go. Right. That's
but then that actually extends to, like, that also goes to the simple things such as wearing a mask.
Mike here today.
So like here in Singapore, we know
he's thoroughly entertaining me.
Because he's questioning me. I've taught him to question everything. Even if I say the sky is blue, he goes.
President Biden says you can get across America on one tank of gas.
His brain is not a rock.
So I mean, contrary to what I know, a lot of I've seen newspaper articles, I've seen people talking about it online also. Contrary to, I think, what some sections of the American population are thinking, actually masks do work. Wearing a mask actually does help to reduce. It can't prevent 100%, but it does reduce, because we are proving it. We're proving it in our situation here. But then there are, of course, many quarters that say, no, wearing a mask is useless. No, you don't wear a mask outside, you wear a mask indoors. But we are wearing masks everywhere, indoors or outdoors, at workplaces, events, and things like that. Yeah.
That's common sense.
But then to us it's common sense, because we know that it works. We know that it works, even though it's a law, it's a mandated law that you have to wear a mask. But we still will not.
I'm 6 feet away from him, so I'm distancing, because I'd kick him right now.
Listen. And Shana thinks it rolls right into exactly America. Here's. Let me see if I can help this conversation along, guys.
Okay. I disagree with Eric right now.
Why? What is
bedazzled pants?
Common sense says don't wear bedazzled pants.
Right. Oh, don't go down that way. Let go of the key. Eric's just.
If I ever have the opportunity, I will wear bedazzled pants.
That has nothing to do with common sense. It has to do with the style.
That's fashion sense.
That's a
personal choice.
Personal sense, common sense.
Now we get into personal choice.
Go ahead, Ken. Finish up that word before I kick you.
So common sense is we live our life by cause and effect, and common sense says we roll through. Hey, if this, then what?
That's logic,
right? So if I touch this hot thing, it might hurt, right?
No, it will hurt.
If I use a knife and stab myself, it could hurt, right? So I think people who we tab as not having common sense doesn't look at all the possible outcomes, perhaps, before they make a decision, right? So if that's why we say, hey man, they're book smart, because E equals MC squared. That's his.
They read it and they can
here you go,
regurgitate it back to you,
and boom.
But they can't implement it,
or they don't think. They just say, hey, 2 + 2 is 4. They don't know how we get there. They just know it is. You can't tell me any other. So it's the lack of, I think, the ability to say what are the total outcomes here before I make a move. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then
a lot of people don't do that.
I have to make that move on what I feel is best for me.
Right. Common sense has to do with common sense also plays into kind of book smarts. Both of them are played together, right? You can't have common sense unless you have some basic knowledge, right? Learning from someone else or learning from yourself, but you have to have basic knowledge, right? Go.
But let's go.
So Facebook user says what? Common sense.
Tim. Good morning, Tim.
Yeah, that's Tim. Common sense, I believe, is misunderstood. Fire is hot, period. Right. That's common sense as that does not vary by opinion. Absolutely. Fire is hot, and fire will burn you no matter who you are, where you are, unless you're Uncle Pete. Your personal life experiences and opinions do not constitute common sense, as that experience is only yours, although you may share those opinions and experiences with others.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part. For the most part.
Well, I mean, that kind of goes back to, the guy doesn't have sense to come out of the rain. Again, suppose he likes the rain.
I was just going to say, he might like the
he
rain,
might
but it's
enjoy
not,
getting wet.
Right.
Just because you
Or
don't.
he's Gene Kelly.
And that doesn't,
Free
it's not even
shower.
common sense. It's not even, but you really can't even, in that respect, you can't even say that's common sense. That's his choice.
Yeah.
Right.
He's choosing to do that because he enjoys it. Common sense tells you that, some people, if you stay out in the rain, you're going to get a cold. Well, that's wrong too, right? But some people will argue that point.
Always, I say it to my kids,
and
put
that's
a damn
wrong.
coat on. You're going to get the flu.
Right. You can't get it. You can't get sick being cold. It's a virus, right?
Right.
It'll help. It can't help you to
wear
be out.
down
It can
your
help
immune
wear down
system.
your immune system, right? But that's where the common sense thing would come in, right? Oh, wait, it's cold and flu season. I'm not feeling great. I'm going to go stand in the cold. Well, now you're not using common sense.
Yeah. When was the last time it was cold and flu season?
Yeah.
How many years ago?
We're going to have snow today.
At
Did you
least
hear that?
two.
Did
We
you
have
hear
not
that?
We don't
had-
do the weather.
We have not had flu season nor cold season in at least 2 years.
Oh, no, we've got 19 season.
Shayna, and then there's people who walk across hot coals. Well, Ted Legal
Hey.
says
Those hot coals actually are not hot if you've ever done it. Have you done that?
no.
The way that how they can walk across those hot coals, because there's the protective layer. I forget what the layer is called.
The sheeness.
The what? So that is part of it. Part of it is mind over matter, but it's also. All right, I didn't get that one right over my head, but it's a mind over
Because
matter.
it's
But the way that the
nothing.
coals,
He just made up a fucking word.
kick him, would you? Come on, I've got 2 brain cells, and you're messing with one of them right now,
Excuse
man.
my language.
But
But Ted does say, and he's echoing a bit of what Eric, the BAM master, said a while ago. Ted says, I have a combination of book smarts, street smarts, and people smarts. Eric a while ago excluded book smarts and street smarts for himself and common sense, and said he had people sense. Ted continues, which is why nothing stops me from moving forward when I come across a problem. And Ted's like he's a real life weeble, man. That dude wobbles, but he will not freaking fall down.
he takes a problem and does not make it too complex. He gets through it, right? I mean, everyone has problems, everyone has issues. How you get through it and how you handle it is what defines you as an individual and where you go in life.
So
You're using common sense. Wait, I can't, my car's out of gas, right? Common sense would tell you call somebody to get you gas, call a tow truck, call an Uber, not sit there, bitch, moan, and complain and go on social media and, Ford made my car, guzzle too much gas, so now I can't afford to drive my car. Well, you know what I mean? These people's arguments, a lot of these people's arguments or reasonings behind things don't make sense anymore, right? Because there is a basic thought process to anything you're doing. It's the logical progression, right? Is that what I want to say? Progression,
Sure. Let's go with that. Yeah, progression.
It's not what I'm trying to think. It's not progression, but there's a logical process. Right?
Let's go
If
processing.
then, right? So when you took logic in college, I'm assuming, if you do this, then this is going to happen. So it's a logical thing. It's common. It's going to happen. You know that. So don't do it.
Right.
Or if you do it, it's going to happen. So people that do it and then expect a different outcome. It's like, doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different outcome.
But
that's insanity. But if your common sense would tell you that if I keep doing the same thing, I'm going to get the same result. But most people don't do that.
But we're assuming in the common sense that they want the same outcome. So like let's take the stove thing.
You can't
again.
assume.
Ta-da.
But
You
can't
can't
assume.
Yeah,
Let's take the stove thing again. So if we're in agreement that I don't want to burn myself on a stove. So if I touch the hot stove, then I'm going to burn myself. Common sense would tell me not to do that. But maybe I want to burn myself on the stove because it's your stove, and I can sue your ass if I burn myself on the
Good
stove.
point.
Oh, now he's going
So what-
litigious
Good
on
point.
it.
But you see what I'm saying? But
That
what
comes
is
down
the-
to ignorance,
Okay.
though, then, too.
So now
Maybe, but
now we
greed.
have
what is the greater good?
Right.
What is the outcome that I'm
Okay.
trying to achieve?
so now we have discovered Mike's thought processes. You're no longer allowed in the studio.
I was just gonna
I
say,
don't want to burn
Hey,
myself
Brett,
on the
have
stove.
him sign
that
I don't
waiver.
have that
Have him
motive.
sign
I
that
don't want
waiver.
to sue your ass.
So
I
you
don't
know what?
want to-
I'm actually kind of
wanna
glad
do
he
that.
brought that up, because think about that one. That is where our society has gone.
Right.
Oh, wait. I did it
Wrong.
because I did it. I knew it was wrong, but I did it at your house, so you owe me because I'm dumb.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And that's the sad thing, is because the common sense. So actually, you as a common sense person, if you did that,
right,
your logic statement actually works. Well, wait, if I do this, this is going to happen, but it's in his house. I can gain something.
Or who owes me? Government owes me.
I would
Society
disagree.
owes me now for all these things.
I love.
I mean, there are
that
people
Kent
out there,
disagrees
but
with me
I would
nonstop. That's why
Nobody
I love
owes you jack.
What does Bob?
Right.
What
You
does
know-
Bob? What does Bob say?
So Bob says the main difference between common sense and intelligence is that common sense primarily describes how practical a person is, while intelligence primarily refers to a person's intellectual capacity. Sometimes even someone with a poor intelligence score, i.e. low IQ, can use their common sense to make good decisions. 100%.
Yeah. So your common sense says I should tune in to the grounds on Friday morning.
Well,
Intelligence
actually,
is like, what the hell are you doing?
As Eric says, this show is why he pays for the internet. So
We love you, Eric, and
So
spread the love. So
here's-
think about what he just said, right? You don't have to be smart to have common sense. You don't have to be. You can be dumb and still have common sense, right? Common sense is something that realistically everybody.
The reason that there's a shortage on common sense in the United States,
And you can gain that over at
Is-
Cannabis CBD shop.
is because, and Gary, hang on to your seat, is because it's going to surprise a lot of people, is because we here in America are better at giving advice than following it.
that's true.
100%.
True. Yes.
You
Yes, I
actually,
agree.
if my kids listening, my kids
Right.
and my wife are probably clapping right now.
So it's like, hey,
I agree. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Hey,
I mean, America is like the global cop of the world. So as a cop, hey, look, I'm telling you what to do. You don't really tell me
what
what
I
to do.
say, not what I do.
And that's a big part of the problem with this that we experience here is don't you dare tell me what
Yeah.
I should do. I'll tell you what you should do.
correct.
Or don't you dare tell me what I should do, and then you do something completely different.
Otherwise, I'll blast you on social media.
We here in the
You see
United
that.
States again are very stubborn, in the face of
That's
new information.
Mm-hmm.
No, you never put another man's hat on.
Did I
your
just
head.
mess with
That's
your
it. No, you
mojo?
didn't. No.
He's going to grow more hair now.
I'm all right because you're my brother.
No,
I got a bigger melon than you. I think I was probably a little loose.
No,
Yeah.
that's
No, you don't like people to easy, Francis.
Wow.
Hey, you touch my stuff, I kill you. Hey. Oh,
No,
easy,
but there are
Francis.
rules about hats.
Right.
Big rules.
But here's what I'm saying, right? What I'm absolutely saying is, here in America, hey, it's working great in Singapore. Bullshit.
Why?
Bullshit. Yeah, but there's 45 other countries that it's not working great in, and let me prove that to you. We have so much pushback here that's why common sense has gone away. Hey, listen, I watched my three brothers do it. Well, did you do it, Kent? No, I didn't.
No,
do
'cause
it,
I
but
learned
watched
from their
my three
idiots.
brothers do it. Well, you're an idiot. Let me touch this. Right? Sure.
Some people have to learn by doing. So
Right.
and I respect those people to a certain point, because just because you say it's bad or it's going to hurt, why should I believe you? Granted, in the fire scenario, like
Yep.
Tim is saying, it's going to hurt, right?
Yep.
But there's certain things that'd be like, you just might not believe them or trust them, or you just want to experience for yourself. You're actually using common sense because you're going, well, just because they say it is, right, doesn't necessarily mean it is. Let me find out for myself. So he did two things there. You used like a logical statement, right? If this happens, then that will happen. You questioned it, right? You questioned what you're doing and why you're doing it. And you actually did the action so you could find out for yourself and maybe share that knowledge with somebody else. Be like, you know what? I questioned everybody. I thought they were wrong. I did it for myself. You know what? They're right. It fucking hurts. Oh, sorry. 216 the net
That's right.
does not condone swearing.
No, we don't. It's fine.
We don't give a shit.
Oh, well, fuck it then. You know?
Yeah.
So,
We're not
you know what I
FCC
mean? So
regulated. We're fine.
if people don't take the common sense thing, I think the problem I have with this is most people aren't thinking about what they're doing or saying until after it's done, and then most of them don't give a shit, especially with like social media,
well, here's the other thing.
the cancel culture.
We as Americans are very, very selfish.
Yeah.
We're very,
100%.
very selfish. And if
100%.
common sense, as to what you said, Mike, is the commonality or for the common people, right? Then, of the same outcome, right?
Mhm.
We're very selfish. So I listen. I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. Right.
Right.
Common sense says there's really no reason to jump out of an airplane, but there's a lot of people who do.
I do it. I love it.
See what I'm saying?
Perfectly good airplane. I'm ready to jump my ass right out of it.
Right.
If you've ever experienced it, you do it too. That's common sense.
My common
baby.
sense
That's
says
living
idiot.
life.
Yeah, and to which I would say, much like Kent, hey, you do you.
Right.
And
Hey, you can't say that.
Don't say
Can't
that.
say do you.
Right.
You do you.
If you
but
not
anyway,
hey, skydiving is awesome. You should try it. I
no,
love
thank
it.
you.
I love doing it.
What I would try is that little tunnel you get in and jump onto the airstream and fly.
Oh, the
Indoor
Indoor skydiving.
That's actually more
indoor skydiving.
Is it?
Yes, it's because you have I think it's like 18 feet wide. It's a big circle. You're standing in a tube.
Yeah.
Underneath you is a 747 jet engine blowing up on you. And so it's going straight up. And what you have to do is it's called something fly. I can't think of it. But anyway, so you have to, when you skydive, you have to be arched back with arms out. I mean, it's a specific position, and you move just your arm a little bit, and it totally tosses you around. So you've got an 18-inch or 18-foot circle that you have to stay on, right? And the turbulence is coming up from below you. You have to jump in and quickly balance yourself, right, to get yourself equalized, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your arm is a little bit higher than the other one, it'll start spinning you sideways. Your legs are a little bit lower, not cocked just right. It literally will throws you into the glass. So if you've ever looked at it, there's like not pillows, but
padding.
Thank you. God, I can't talk so much. There's padding all over the walls. It is dangerous because if you hit that and the guy turns the speed up too fast, because like I'm a bigger guy, so they have to turn the speed up.
Common sense would tell me not to stand on top of a 747 jet engine.
Right.
Common sense would tell me that.
But is it?
Right.
No, it's not, because because when you
So-
figure it out, it's actually really fun. But the problem is, first couple times I jumped in, and that son of a bitch blew me right into the glass, and it would have broke. I mean, I could have broke my neck because I'd not been like a pretty active individual, knowing to duck and tuck and roll. So common sense to me says don't friggin' do it, because that's more dangerous.
Right.
Jumping out of a plane, you have thousands and thousands of feet to rebalance
To
yourself.
calculate your death. It's
Recalculate
wonderful.
your death.
Doesn't
Exactly.
happen instantly like in an 18
And
18 foot
it's better.
tube.
I'm going to tell you this:
Yeah.
it's better than sex.
So common sense
Oh, okay.
is to not continue to apply the same actions to a problem that has already proven not to bring the wanted outcome.
That's the definition of insanity.
Ding,
Ding.
right? And that's what I said earlier. So a lot of people aren't using common sense. So let's take this a step further. Common sense, right, in that respect. So common sense, if this shot doesn't do anything except potentially lessen your effects, it's not stopping you from giving it to somebody or spreading it, right? Common sense would say a lot of the risks don't outweigh the rewards, right? I mean, if what you're getting is only going to help, it's ideally what it is. It's only supposed to be helping you to have less symptoms. It actually turns, from what I read and what I understand, that it turns you into a super spreader, because now you're out running around, living your life, and you don't realize that you potentially have it.
And if you have not, it's the same thing. You can be asymptomatic.
So
that
what,
argument-
so what's
that-
the benefit? What's
that
the benefit?
argument-
So then, what's the benefit?
That if I get it, I'm not going to die from it. Perhaps I could, right? Because when I die, and that's written in my chart, and that's what it's supposed to be. Okay, and whether it's from this, that, or the third, when my maker says, "Come on home," guess what? I'm coming home, whether I'm getting run over by a train, eaten by a tiger, raped by a gorilla. It doesn't matter. And by gorilla, I mean somebody at war in a third world country.
Gorilla. Gorilla.
Oh, and sure,
Whatever
direction's
floats
going
your
there.
boat and creams your Twinkie.
Right.
It's all right. We don't judge here on 216 the net.
Right. Common
Get all
sense
rapey
says
with
it wouldn't
your
be an
gorillas.
animal. I wouldn't be at the zoo. Listen, the thing is
I
that-
like Ryland Kent up. You see how I got him going on that
but,
one?
But what I'm saying is, you can't, with this particular virus that's out there, the arguments play the exact same on both sides.
They do.
Right? It's not going to go away. It's going to be around forever. Right?
Right.
A vaccine is not a cure, people, in my opinion.
Well, it's
in
not
my opinion,
can't vaccinate against a virus.
It is not a cure. However, if I say, you know what, I want to be vaccinated so that I have the potential of not being in the ICU, then I think that's a win for me, right?
Sure.
And weighing that on
Win for you, but not
right?
for anybody else.
I didn't say it was
Right, but what they're saying, if you don't do it, you're
But
being
you
you're
are.
not being a good steward towards the rest
But
of the world.
you're saying if you do it, you're a sheep.
No,
I'm not saying that at all.
But here's the thing.
I'm not
Kent
saying you're a
just
sheep
said
at all.
Sure.
all of these arguments, with
If
or
you-
without the vaccine, play out exactly the same.
Exactly.
So if you choose the vaccine for whatever reason,
And you did
or you
your
choose
research,
not to do the vaccine
Right.
for whatever
Correct.
reason, then that's okay. Trust your decision.
That's right.
Now, don't worry about those. If you're vaccinated, don't worry about those who are unvaccinated. Trust your decision in the vaccine.
Right.
The vaccine you trusted is going to protect you. That's what
but
it's
put your
done
mask
there.
on.
And all things aside, trust your decision.
Right.
If you did not get the vaccine for whatever reason, trust your decision on
Exactly.
that, and then go ahead and live whatever way
Right.
you want to live.
Right there. Right.
That's fine with me.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly
And
how I
that's-
feel.
it's-
If you have the right information,
Sal,
you-
I did clarify what
Yeah.
gorillas I was
if
talking about.
if you've taken all the information, you've questioned everything, and this is the outcome that you decide is best for you, I'm good with that. But a lot of
So
people,
I showed good common sense.
you did your reasoning behind
Done.
it, and that's
Mhm.
what you
Right.
chose for your life, right?
So
You used common sense. You
Right.
thought about it. This is what
But-
happened to this
But
person.
that's roughly what about four over million people here also decided to think about in terms of the common sense that we don't want our hospital facilities to be flooded with unnecessary cases. So if we can have a way to reduce or to even eliminate severe symptoms, then I think we decided it's common sense for most of us to just get the vaccine. There is no compulsory mandatory vaccination here. It's still by choice, but the society does need to move on. Or sorry, our country still needs to move on. So if for the unvaccinated, if they don't want to, but then eventually when we reach the endemic stage and we have certain restrictions because the society does need to move on and take care of the majority, then that's the choice, that's the bait that they go lie in. I mean, they have nobody to blame because, we have to still move on. Our society needs to move on for the majority, not the
Right.
minority.
But again, here we go, and we flop to this 3, 4, 5 times now because we can't have a conversation about common sense without bringing this in. You see how brainwashed you are? You see how brainwashed you are? You've rolled into the propaganda machine that's out there because we can't even have a conversation on common sense without bringing up the V word, without bringing up politics, without bringing up a D or an R.
Because we've confused, just as Kent said earlier, we've confused common sense with opinion.
That's right.
Bam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that's
Yeah.
the whole reason that I really wanted to talk about this today, because people aren't
That's it.
using common sense. Everyone's
Right.
opinionated and
We're selfish.
Selfish, right?
Yeah.
And that's also, I mean, how can you even expound upon it any better than what basically what you said? It's
That's
they're
it.
not using common sense. They're using their opinion, and they're not actually getting all of the information right to make their
Yeah.
common sense decision. What your common sense decision is, I don't care. But if you use the proper tools to come to your decision and you thought about it more than just everyone else did it, I'm going to do it. I'm glad. I'm good with that. I'm happy with that. I love you for that.
Yeah.
Because you thought about it. You just didn't do it because, well, everyone else is doing it, or because that's what everyone says to do.
Right.
Might not be right for you.
Hey,
Might not be right for me.
You're going to it's 55 degrees outside and raining. You're going to catch a cold standing out in the rain. However, we keep the house 55 degrees and I take a shower every day. Why aren't I catching a cold in the shower?
I like that.
Because
you're
the
rubbing
temperature
soap.
and the water do not cause the cold.
Right.
A
It's your
virus
weakened-
does.
That's
I
right. Well, it's your
I'm
weakened
just
immune
saying,
system.
right?
It allows
We
it to
say
come
that
in.
all the time, right?
Right.
So yeah, I got to go back and agree with Tim. Is it's the things in life that are given. The sun will come up tomorrow. That's common sense. It will.
You might not see it, but it
will
does
on
come
our
up.
flat Earth rise in the east. So That's
our flat Earth. I like that.
That's the way it is, right?
And even then, technically speaking, the sun does not rise nor does it set. The planet simply rotates.
Spins around it. Yep. It's in
as
orbit.
far as I know, it rises.
But as far as you know it, well, it rises out of the sky in the east, right?
But
And it
to
goes
your
away
point-
in the west.
To your point, that's exactly correct. Everything that has been demonstrated empirically is relevant to common sense. It's very difficult to refute empirical proof.
Right.
That a thing which is, we know that it is and that it is to be. That is where common sense is born and derived from.
Look at what. Can you go up a little bit?
Where?
There's two. Go up a little bit to legal services. Keep going up. Legal legacy. Right.
This one right here.
Right. So Ted says people have to realize that we really don't have a cure for any illness. Right. What we have are possible ways to stop an illness from affecting you. Only God decides if we get sick. I don't know if you get only God decides,
Mike.
right. But then if you go down, I just wanted to point this out because we don't.
This show is awesome.
He just comes back with this
Right.
with this comment.
All
This
right,
show
lay
is
it-
awesome,
lay it
and
out
this
there.
show is awesome because we can talk back and forth, and we can use our common sense or our lack of common sense arguments and our opinions to ask everyone else what they feel and what they feel is common sense, what they think is
Yeah.
best, and then we can analyze that and make our judgment,
You know
our
what's good
decision.
common sense? Let me tell you something, brother. A good piece of common sense is tune in every second and fourth Tuesday at 7:15 and listen to Let Me Tell You Something, brother. It's a show all about wrestling. It's awesome, right
Yeah.
here. Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream.
Oh yeah, I heard that the other night. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, awesome.
Wrestling.
And actually, real quickly before we let Mike go into that, just with the holiday season coming up and Thanksgiving, just want to let everyone know we over at Reese's Barkery, Cannabis, CBD Shop, and Fantasy Factory are drop-off locations for non-perishable food, so we can donate to the Fish Food Pantry. Because common sense tells you that people don't have
Common
much.
sense says help other people and show up with food over there. It would also tell you that, hey, it's not holiday season because that's a trigger for me.
Well, all right. Well, just to know that, you know what, common sense would tell you that, if you have a house and a place and food, that not everybody does. So stop by Reese's, Cannabis,
That's it.
or Fantasy
Drop your-
Factory, drop off
your
non-perishable foods off.
Please.
So we can go ahead and help stock up the Fish
Yep.
Food Pantry. Unfortunately, we couldn't do our community
You can
harvest
drop 'em
again
off
this
here
year.
at 216 The Net.
Yep.
We're really looking for things like pork and beans. We would also like
Steak.
some steak,
Some bacon.
some bacon. Always good.
Bacon.
Yeah, extra bacon.
If
Some
you guys
cream
could all
corn.
spread that
Yeah.
to people, please, between now and Thanksgiving and even Christmas, just dropping off any non-perishable items at 1313
Navy
North
beans,
Riverside
Navy
Drive
beans.
or 818 Front Street in
Meatloaf
McHenry. We
sandwich.
greatly appreciate that.
So only
folks.
God makes you sick.
Oh, I don't. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think that.
I'm not touching that religious comment. I just
I
thought
know.
that
I
was
didn't
kind of
think you
interesting
guys
because I
wanted to get into
thought
that.
Kent might hit that one because in my mind, God does not control your life. God gave you your life. God gave you the opportunity and the smarts to make your own decisions.
Yes.
God does not control you because if God was controlling you, he would not be allowing all
So
these
Ted
people to get
decided
raped,
be
all
born
these
with
people to
spina
die
bifida.
young, right?
So Ted was decided to be born with spina bifida.
That was in his parents' DNA. There was something that went wrong in the DNA in the cooking process, so to speak, right?
Mm.
It's
And where
nothing
does
that God
DNA
did.
and
Why
where
would
does that
God? Why,
DNA come from?
from his ancestors?
Keep going.
Something went wrong.
Mm.
Well, if you go back to
Yeah.
the beginning of time,
Mm.
depends on what you believe in evolution, Big Bang Theory, right?
Yeah.
So did God
Yeah.
actually, Adam and Eve, we're all, as a
Yeah.
religious person, Adam and Eve, God, common sense tells you that he could go and rip a rib out from a guy and turning it into a girl,
Mhm.
different DNA. Wouldn't that
Mhm.
be kind of incestual?
We live in this fallen world. with
So,
the
right,
corrupt
wouldn't you, I mean,
hormones
honestly,
and
if
all
you
that
did
stuff.
that, the DNA from a man to make a woman, that's incest.
Sure. I mean,
So
that's
we're
a
all,
that's
so
a
we're all
cute, that's a-
incestual.
That's a cute first grade, Bible story way to look at it. Absolutely.
I like that, see? But common sense
That's
tells
good.
me that really couldn't happen.
Mhm. Well, that's because he created a Hadam, which is man. right?
Hadam?
Not a man. A Hadam.
A Hadam.
Right?
All right.
So,
Right.
I mean, if you
But this show is awesome. So
if you were
legal
looking at it.
legacy
we can
home
talk about
business
that on questions
services,
you never
yeah.
thought you could ask.
Maybe
in
next
church.
week. Maybe next
Every
week.
Wednesday at 12:30 right here,
Well,
21.6 the net.
okay.
So the interesting thing is, right, and we won't go down that because it has nothing to do with common sense on
Right.
on the illness, right?
Right.
And that could be a whole different show.
Not even the illness. There's common sense in life in general, man.
Well, I'm just saying we could be flipped on a coin there. What I'm saying is, common sense has gone bye-bye because we don't. I mean, we're selfish, and we would rather give our opinions and or advice rather than be open-minded and follow someone else's, right? And because the world now, we're sitting here with our great friend Gary as he's winding down his Friday, and we're ramping up our Friday. That's a huge piece of this. Now, our personal interactions and things are now very, very flat. The world's flat, right? When I say the world's flat, not that the globe is flat. It's just we can be in Singapore right now hanging out with Gary, which is cool because of technology. And I can interact here. Now, I have no idea if he's wearing pants or he's not. Nor does he.
I'll check myself.
Right? It doesn't matter. But that's why I'm saying is I can't read him if he's excited to be on the show or not right now. Right? He seems happy to be here. Right? But the idea is
I have no idea.
Where are you going with this, sir?
I jumped off the train a while back. I'm
He
just,
didn't
Yeah, I think the train sort of derailed halfway around there.
But the idea is because we're selfish and we don't want to, our human interactions are different than they used to be.
100%.
Listen, we would be playing outside, maybe a little football in the street when we were kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I could see that you were getting pissed, right? And then the next play, guess what? Common sense would tell me get out of the way, or he's lowering his shoulder.
He's going to roll me over.
He's going to roll me over, right? But now common sense goes. My daughter, comes home with drama all the time. Like, she told me to F off. I'm like, okay, delete her. What? Why would I do that? Told you to F off. And when I was a kid, guess what? You got punched in the mouth. I didn't go back over there.
That comes into that comment that I made about a common sense person making simple things more complex.
So
that girl's a bitch. She's mean to me. Don't hang out with her. Don't talk to her. That's a simple solution, right? That's a common sense. You don't make me feel good. You don't bring any benefit to me. Don't talk to me.
That's your common sense and my common sense.
Right. And that's what
their common sense.
Their common sense is. Oh well, they do that to me. I've got to piss them off. Right.
George, have a great day. Thanks for joining in. Right.
Yeah.
So, one's environment can change an individual's trajectory. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why I say when it comes down to it, and I'll continue to say that, and we love everybody who listens, but we Americans are pretty selfish. We're pretty narrow-minded, and there was a point in time, and we talked about this last week about patriotism and being proud to be an American, where now we're not even happy to live here. And what I would still say, and no offense to Singapore, I haven't been there yet, is the greatest nation in the world.
We by far still are the greatest nation. And
depends how you look at it, what scores we're keeping.
All right. But we have the most opportunity to live our lives more the way we design it than what our country tells us to do. Yes, there are rules and there are regulations that you have to follow, but we by far have more freedoms because our country's not free by any means, but we have more freedoms than most countries. The things that we can do in our country, most countries would never, ever allow you to do that. With that being said, though, things are changing rapidly on what our government is allowing us to do and to be free.
See,
and
there's
to what
the
is
G world again.
All right, our country, things, the rules and the regs are changing, which are taking away some of those freedoms. And the problem is people are allowing it. They're not using their common sense thoughts to go, wait a minute, that makes no sense. Why are you doing? Well, they say it's good for everybody else, so I'm going to just do that. They're not thinking it through properly. People don't these days don't want to argue the stuff that's really important. They want to argue about the dumb shit.
Yeah.
Right. They want to sit their opinion out there and say, but this is it. But
but at the same time, and I know we're wrapping this up, but at the same time, I got to tell you, at one point in time in our history, we said a self-driving car, that makes no sense at all.
because
can
we're
that
because
ever
we're
happen?
and right because we're
We're
American
supposed to
people
have
and everything
flying
was done by
cars right
hand,
now,
right? We
right?
did everything was hands on. Now you're saying hands off.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's exactly it. The world is changing, so
Right.
our perceptions have to change. Right, Lisa? A little plug for Lisa's show, changing perceptions. The way we look at common sense has to change on some level, and I can't get mad at you for using your common sense if it doesn't agree with my common sense. Right.
Right.
And
well, as long as my common sense is actually not severely affecting your
correct
the way that you would like to live.
Correct.
Right. My common sense affects me and my family and my immediates.
Yep.
So be it. So folks, think about that today. Common sense. How can you institute that more into your everyday life?
Personal trainer, thanks for being here.
Yep.
Drop your food off where?
818 Front Street at either Cannibalistic Fantasy Factory or Reese's Bakery and Pautique at 1313 North Riverside Drive, or here at 216 The Net on Route 31. What is the address here?
1400
Route 31.
Yep. William Tanyan Building.
Yep. So please, people, remember, no matter where you're at, what you do, there's somebody else that could always need help and a little assistance. So stop by, donate non-perishable food.
or drop off some money, because that money goes further than
actually the money does go further, because for every $1 that you donate, they can buy $8 worth of food. So but some people aren't comfortable just giving out cash. But people, do you help out, love one another, and think things through before you make things out, and live by example.
There you go.
Love you all.
Come back at 9 for Bridging Civil Tension. Maybe a little Kyle Rittenhouse talk.
Right down your throat.
Thanks, guys.
Another fucking made up quote. So buckle down, plug right in. It crawls its way under your skin. Just got about from the things they spout, and it won't make you shout. Give me that good news, because